G'day camper. Everyone knows to carry a first aid kit. I don't feel the need to talk about it. But what about the camping pharmacy? The medicine cabinet, the second aid kit? What we're talking about today could be the difference between enjoying your camping trip or suffering through it, or even packing up and going home. To take that a step further, with proper medical advice from a doctor over sat phone or Starlink or whatever, what's in this kit could even save a life. Before we dive in, please remember that this is not medical advice. I'm sharing information based on my own research and experience, but I'm not a doctor or qualified healthcare professional. Always speak to a qualified medical professional for your own healthcare needs. While all of these products are available over the counter, that doesn't mean they cannot be dangerous. Consult with a healthcare professional before using anything on this list, and always read and understand the instructions before use. Also, never use any medication on children unless it's directed so on the packet or instructed by your doctor. Always be aware of how these medications might interact with each other, as well as how they might interact with medications you're already on, or any medical conditions you may have. And finally, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's without side effects. It may also impact negatively with other medications on this list. Here's what we've got to look forward to. Here's what we're looking at now. Our first category is pain, fever, and inflammation management. I've split this video into 4 main categories. We're going to start over here with paracetamol. Now, this is known through most of the world as paracetamol, but in Canada, USA, Japan, it's actually called acetaminophen. God, I had to practice that one for a while. It's called something completely different. Panadol is the most commonly known brand in Australia. It's also known in the USA as Tylenol. Now, throughout this video, I'm also going to try and present natural alternatives for those of you that aren't so into pharmaceuticals. One alternative for paracetamol is white willow bark, and apparently ginger also can help a little bit. Now, the next 3 here belong to the same class of drugs called NSAIDs, which is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Start over here with ibuprofen. This is a pharmacy brand, so a bit cheaper, but if you're looking at name brands, Nurofen is well known all over the world. Also Advil is another quite popular brand. Ibuprofen is similar to paracetamol, but it works on the body a different way. It's good for general aches and pains, reducing fever, but it also works to reduce inflammation, which is something that paracetamol doesn't do. It is a bit harder on the stomach than paracetamol, and pregnant women can't take that. Next one, we've got aspirin. This is the Disprin brand. It's good for pain relief, fever reduction, and it's anti-inflammatory. Now, my mum swears that this is the only thing that stops her migraine if she can catch it early enough. Now, aspirin is longer acting, and it's actually unsafe for children and teenagers to use. It also has a blood thinning effect and can help to reduce blood clots. So this is actually great if someone's suffering a heart attack. This is that one where if you're somewhere remote and you can get on the phone or sat phone or Starlink to a doctor with the symptoms and it sounds to them like a heart attack, they might advise you to give them aspirin. So that one could be a lifesaver. Hot tip, while it might be tempting to take these medications out of their packets to save a little bit of space, don't do it. You might know what these medications are and how to use them, but what if you're incapacitated or something and someone else has to go into your medical kit and grab some of it? They're going to need instructions, they're going to need to know what everything is. Still in the NSAIDs class, we've got Voltaren Rapid 25. This is for muscular pain, but most of the time I'll skip this, I'll go straight to this one here, but let me tell you why I carry this. The active ingredient in that is diclofenac sodium. I'm not a pharmacist, so some of these names are a bit hard. Sorry if I'm getting them wrong. So this one's actually used for extreme inflammation and muscle pain. When it gets really bad, this stuff is a lifesaver. It's actually a Schedule 3 medication, so you'll have to talk to the pharmacist, it's behind the counter, and they'll have to check that it's going to be suitable for you. Now, to complement that, you're going to need a muscle rub for sprains and strains. 2 popular names are actually Deep Heat and Voltaren Gel, but these are actually in the same NSAID class as these 3, so you're going to have to be careful using that one. My choice is this one here, Physio Cream, and that is actually an all-natural product, so win for everyone there. Category number 2, respiratory and ear, nose and throat comfort. Pretty much cold and flu. Now, first of all, and I don't have any of them here, is cold and flu tablets. I'll tell you why I don't have any in just a moment. In Australia, you've got Codral, you've got Nurofen Cold and Flu, and you've got Demazin. Those are 3 popular brands. Elsewhere in the world, you've got Vicks Dayquil, Vicks NyQuil, Tylenol Cold and Flu. Now, I used to use Codral a lot but they're absolutely useless now. And it turns out the reason for that is that these medications, the good ones, contain a vasoconstrictor called pseudoephedrine, which is a key ingredient for a certain kind of chef. Therefore, the really good cold and flu tablets with the pseudoephedrine in them are restricted in most countries. You can still buy them, but you have to give photo ID and you have to be able to show the chemist that you're pretty much dying from the flu, which makes it a little bit hard to just buy some just in case for your next camping trip. But cold and flu tablets and pseudoephedrine are not the only source of vasoconstrictor, which leads me to my next product, a vasoconstricting nasal spray. So when you have a really bad cold or flu, the nasal passages become really inflamed and swollen. A vasoconstrictor nasal spray shrinks the blood vessels, which makes it easier for you to breathe. In Australia, brand names are Demazin and Sudafed, but what I have is just a chemist brand with the active ingredient in it. In the USA, you've got Afrin, Vicks Sinex or Dristan, and of course the same chemist house brands. In European areas, you're looking for Nasivin, Otrivin or Rhino spray. Now the thing about them, as funny as it sounds, is your nose can kind of get addicted to it. So you have to use more and more, and then eventually when you try and come off it, your nose has a come down and you get all stuffed up again. So you can only use it for 2 to 5 days. Hot tip, storage. Store these in a container that doesn't just live in your camping kit. Take them inside the house, use them at home as you would all your other medications, because they're all going to have an expiration date and you want to keep turning things over before they go bad. If you want a natural option, here it is. It's essentially just salty water in a spray bottle. But it is still useful alongside the vasoconstrictor. In Australia, this one here, Flow, that's a pretty popular brand. Fess is another one that's pretty popular. In the USA, the common brands are simply Saline or Vicks Sinex Saline. In European areas, Sterimar or Physiomar are popular brands as well. Now with the saline spray, as soon as you spray it up there, it helps to free and loosen up the mucus, and you can blow it out a bit easier. But I've actually found it also has a pretty important and relevant to camping second use. I don't know if you've ever had this where you go out bush, and particularly when you're sitting around the campfire a lot, your nose gets dry and sore. Well, you can actually just use a saline spray every now and then to moisten it. And some of these contain a bit of a moisturizer, so it can really help with that horrible dry nose you can sometimes get. One more thing about the saline spray is it's actually really good to use before using a medicated spray like the vasoconstrictor. It'll just help clean out your nasal passages and then make the medicated spray more effective. When it comes to coughing, I don't really carry anything special for that. If it's a wet cough, it's productive anyway, and you probably shouldn't be trying to suppress it. If it's a dry cough, I just go for lozenges. These ones here are your cheaper, more natural, non-medicated lozenges. If you do want that more natural product just to soothe an irritated throat and just for general comfort, I'd probably recommend these. Look for ingredients such as pectin, honey, eucalyptus oil and menthol. In Australia, the Vicks Vapor Drops are a popular brand, but a menthol and Strepsils Herbal are 3 you can go for. In the USA, you'll commonly see Hall's, Ricola or Luden's brand. For a sore throat that feels like you've got knives in your throat, go more medicated. You want to look for benzocaine, lignocaine or flurbiprofen, or whatever the heck this word is. In Australia, this Difflam Plus anaesthetic is a pretty popular one, or Strepfin Intensive. In the USA, you're looking for Cepacol or Sucrets. So my holy trinity, this is the 3 things that replace the good old pseudoephedrine-based cold and flu tablets. I start with nasal spray, maybe a saline spray to clear it out, and a vasoconstrictive nasal spray. Then I'll go one of these, depending how sore my throat is, and for pain and fevers, good old Panadol. That's a pretty safe 3-way combo to use. Try not to go for ibuprofen because some of these actually contain an NSAID, which, as you know from the start, is the same class as ibuprofen. Gastrointestinal and digestive health. Well, that just rolled off the tongue nice, didn't it? Now, before I jump into this, I want to ask a favour of you. If you got anything out of this video and you're considering buying your own kit or stocking up your bush chemist kit, please consider checking out the links in the description. I've linked everything in this video or the equivalents, and I've put it for different countries as well. So in the USA, it's through Amazon, and in Australia, through Chemist Direct. So if you use those links, I'll get a bit of a kickback from anything you buy, and it really helps me to produce these videos because, by God, this took a long time, this video. Okay, let's get into it. We're starting with hydration, Hydrolyte. Now, Hydrolyte focuses on restoring electrolytes after you've had gastro or diarrhea, or even just after you've been sweating a lot. So if you end up with a lot of muscle cramps after a very hot day out in the bush, this stuff tends to fix it up pretty quick. It's also really good if you wake up, if you're a heavy drinker, you wake up with a thumping hangover and a massive headache, this stuff really helps. You can use like sports drinks are the same, maybe not quite as potent as that, and they focus on sugars and replenishing energy a bit more. This is very much more for your salts and electrolytes. Now, I actually have to switch these two around. I've got make poo happen, stop poo happen. Hands up if you get constipated. I think I coined the term. I don't know what it is. Change in routine, you're too busy, I don't know, change in diet. If you've got real problems, this is going to sort you out. Usually for me, I'll have an extra coffee or an extra strong coffee in the morning, and that can sometimes get things going. You might consider taking some prunes camping with you. It's not a wives' tale. Prunes actually do help. They last a long time in your camping kit, they taste delicious, and there's your natural alternative. The next safest is bulk forming laxatives. They're essentially just natural fibre, so that's another good natural option. They can take 12 to 24 hours to have any effect, and they might even take up to 3 days to start working. All around the world, two popular bulk forming laxatives are Metamucil and Benefiber. Now, if you're like me and you just want to yourself and get on with the trip, you need stimulant laxatives. Pop this and brace yourself for action within 6 to 12 hours. But if you really want this over and done with and you're not scared of a little suppository, you could have full evacuation within 1 hour. Popular brands worldwide are Ducalax and another one called Senocot. If you need to stop poo happen, this is your buddy here. You need loperamide hypochloride. Here in Australia, GastroStop is the brand I use, but Imodium is a brand known all around the world. So this works to slow down your gut movements and help you absorb more electrolytes and water. And of course, it firms up bowel movements and reduces frequency. Your natural alternative is charcoal tablets. Now, these are supposed to bind to substances in the stomach and exit the body with them, but you do have to be careful. As I was saying, you know, not every natural alternative is safe. If you have any other medications you're taking, charcoal tablets can actually bind to those medications and remove them from the body before you've had a chance to absorb them. It's me, hot tip time again. When it comes to storing your medications, store them in a nice cool place. It can be a bit hard in the car, so try and poke them under the driver's seat or passenger seat, whatever, or deep inside drawers, somewhere they're just going to get that a bit less contact with the heat. Now, heartburns, indigestion and reflux, these can be caused when you're camping just from eating junk food too much, if you change your diet when you're camping, or if you drink too much, or if you've got a crooked gut. What I use for that is a simple antacid. Quick ease chewables. Elsewhere around the world, it's called Mylanta, Tums and Rennie. Chew one of these up and usually within 15 minutes, you'll be feeling a lot better, and they can last up to 3 hours. An antacid like that will do most people well enough, but there was one time in the goldfields where I was crook and I had really bad acid reflux. I'm stuffed, eh? I had to drive out of the bush into town 2 hours away to pick up something more serious and try and calm it down. That something was a PPI-based medication, a protein pump inhibitor, which reduces the amount of acid that your stomach produces. It's slower acting but longer lasting. You can take it for 7 to 14 days. I don't carry it in my kit, but if you travel with someone who's prone to acid and heartburn problems, it might not be a bad idea. If you're looking for a brand name of protein pump inhibitor, it would be Nexium. That's pretty well known worldwide. Oh yes, your natural alternative. Ginger seems to be the answer for everything, and chamomile tea. Now, if you want a fix-all for all of these problems in one product, it would have to be Pepto-Bismol. The catch is, it's banned throughout the entire world. For every country has its own reasons. There's 3 places you can get it: USA, Canada, and Mexico. So you guys are in luck, if you can call it lucky, having a banned product. Category 4, allergies and skin. We're going to start with antihistamines. There's two common types. You've got second/third generation, which are the non-drowsy type, and you've got first generation, which are the drowsy type. The drowsy type, first generation, are pretty powerful things. I don't tend to carry them because I'm not very allergy prone, and neither is any of my family. The other thing about first generation drowsy type is they have to be administered by a chemist. They're really good for like strong hay fever, strong allergic reactions. They're even good for nausea and car sickness. You want to be looking for something called promethazine. Here's what I've got. Non-drowsy, I choose a loratadine based one, and this is a chemist brand. I like loratadine because it covers most problems you'll find outdoors, like insect bites or reactions from rubbing up against plants. Also, again, it's non-drowsy, low sedative, and it's quite widely tolerated by most people. In Australia, brands you're looking at are Claritine. In the USA, it's pretty similar, it's called Claritin. And I've just got a pharmacy brand one. You can get pharmacy brand as well, it's obviously a little bit cheaper. For some natural alternatives, you can look for things containing stinging nettle, funnily enough. Also butterbur, spirulina. It's worth saying though that those are things you take proactively and long-term to prevent reactions, whereas loratadine is something you more take reactively when something happens. Next we've got creams. Now, I grew up with Savlon antiseptic cream. That's what Mum always used, and so it's always been in my kit. But I'm actually starting to think that a Panthen first aid cream might be better. Now, both of these have chlorhexidine, which is a broad spectrum antiseptic. It keeps your bites and cuts and grazes and burns nice and clean. But Panthen also has something called dexpanthenol, which converts to vitamin B5 in the skin, which vitamin B5 is essential for skin regeneration and repair, so might be a little bit better. So this one focuses on antiseptic and repair. This one's more just for antiseptic. I also keep aloe vera gel. That's a nice natural option for sunburn and fire burns, all sorts. And for a natural alternative to these antiseptic creams, you might try something that's tea tree oil based. It's actually one of the most researched antiseptic, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory natural oils. So there you go. Concentrated tea tree oil is not recommended for medical purposes. You want to look for a tea tree based ointment or cream. Also, Manuka honey is supposed to be really good, and calendula based creams. Bonus category, it's for the kids. We're keeping it short here because, like I said at the start, you've got to be careful with medications and kids. Keep it to things that are safe for kids. Saline nasal spray, really good for unblocking their noses, so kids sleep like crap if they've got a blocked nose. Not only do they snore, if you're lucky, that's the worst they do. They keep you up all night. Well, this liquefies the boogers. You can get them in kids-safe versions. I'd say it's probably just a bit of a weaker concentration. So, a bit of saline nasal spray. Kids hot tip. When you're choosing your container to store your medications in, if it's going to be in reach of children, make sure it's a child-proof container. Next thing, you can't leave home without some liquid painkillers for kids. Got a great tip from my mate Harry, Fire to Fork. Unfortunately, it came a bit too late for my first kid, who hated taking these. You can get a suppository. So nappy change, quick, up there, kid's happy. Well, maybe not at the moment if it happens, but this one's paracetamol, Dimedon. The Panadol brand tastes awful. Like, I can understand why she didn't take that stuff. And Nurofen. Both of them are in kids' concentrations. Now, if your kid's getting a bit backed up down there, prunes. That's it. Most kids love prunes, right? Beyond that, in the case of kids, you're going to have to speak to your doctor because those little bodies aren't as tolerant of all these chemicals and pharmaceuticals as ours are. And there you go. That is my camping second aid pharmaceutical kit. Tell me what you reckon down in the comments. If you've got any thoughts or suggestions or opinions, or even if you want to let us know what you carry in your own kit, pop it down there in the comments and you might just be helping a fellow camper in the future.